Hey everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube Live from CompTIA, where we are all ears to answer your IT questions. I'm Kelsey, and tonight we're digging into how you can practice your IT skills from home. We're all at home a little bit right now, a little more than often, so what better way to get practicing on your IT skills? So it's a lot simpler than you think, and honestly, it's probably, things that you already have in your home already. So tonight, you'll walk away with a list of tools that you'll need in order to get tinkering, and even without professional experience, you'll be able to show employers that you've got hands-on experience and that you really know your stuff. Plus, at the end, we're going to be able to share some hot tips on how you can save money on your IT training and certification. So definitely stay tuned for those goodies. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel to get more great IT resources from us. And tonight I am joined by James and Justin, the OG crew. Welcome back, Justin. It's good to see you guys. Let's introduce ourselves for some of our new viewers.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Justin, for those who I haven't met already virtually. Coming to you from CompTIA's headquarters right outside of Chicago, Illinois. So glad to be back with the original crew.
We've been wondering where you were, Justin. Kelsey, you have a theory, right?
I do. Well, he's been studying, right? Like you've been really hitting the books hard.
Absolutely.
Or you've been drowning from the flood that we had.
Yeah, there's this major water event in Chicago. That's supposed to be the Seattle area where I live. I don't know what's going on. Well, hi everybody. I'm James. I'm here in Olympia, Washington. I'm mostly here. My voice hasn't shown up. It might show up near the end of the webinar, but I'm really happy to be here. Welcome everybody. I see we got people from Chicago. We got people from Toronto. Is it Toronto or Toronto? I'm curious.
I say T at the end. I emphasize.
There's a T there. Okay.
Chicago of the North. That's what it's called. Toronto.
Peoria, Arizona. There we go. We got Arizona from SoCal. We got all sorts of folks. So great to be here. So there you go.
That's awesome. Well, everyone say hi to Lauren from CompTIA in the chat as well. She's helping out our friends in the chat tonight. So thanks everyone for being here. It's really good to see you guys, and we're really excited to get into this topic tonight. So when we first started this series, James had mentioned that, you can really create your IT playground from home, and you just need that sense of curiosity, which is kind of one of those power skills that we talked about. Right, guys? Like power skills, soft skills, whatever you want to call them. The big thing is being able to maximize this, skill of curiosity by being able to change your thinking of being a consumer of IT or technology into being a producer of IT. So James, can you expand on that a little bit?
You bet. What we find is there are a lot of people, whenever they want to get into IT, for example, you think I used an example of a person who was a truck driver, and he decided that he wanted to move over to be an IT worker. And so, first of all, there's that innate sense of curiosity. It's not so much do you like tech, or you're just curious about anything, and you want to kind of get underneath the hood, as it were, of IT. And probably the best way to do that, at least the way I look at it, is from a hands-on perspective, to kind of look at it, to look at IT that way. At least that's what I had in mind. What do you think, Kelsey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. So you're saying that anyone can really begin to learn IT from home.
Absolutely. And I think if you just really work on a little bit, don't get too deep into it, get yourself a mentor. But if you can just go ahead and start experimenting on this thing, break a couple of things, and we'll talk about how you can do that safely in a bit.
Yeah.
But break a couple of things and fix a couple of things, you'll find yourself that you're going to be able to get much deeper into things.
That is incredible. Okay, so we are going to be able to dig into 5 skills that you can practice at home. But before we do that, Justin, can you help us out a little bit with what we need in order to kind of build our IT playground? And everyone in the chat, let us know if you have these materials that we're about to mention on hand, or maybe if you've already tried to set up your IT playground and you've already got kind of your tinkering stuff at home, what is in your IT playground? So Justin, what do we need?
For sure. So setting up an IT playground does not have to be hard at all. And there are three main things that you want to include. And one is your mobile phone. Your phone is a computer, and it's something we all have, and most likely we're already familiar with, from sending text messages and making phone calls, downloading the apps, connecting to Bluetooth devices, or connecting your Wi-Fi at home or at school. You know how to use it, but now can you look beyond the home screens? As James say, looking beneath the hood. And then there's your computer network. And setting up a home network doesn't have to be expensive. Just like having an old phone, most of us have old computers, whether it be Windows or Mac laptops laying around. And those are perfect if you can get those to power on. And then basically when you're setting up your home network, you'll need a switch or cables and some form of connection provided by a home modem, either personal or one provided by ISP, and that's an internet service provider. James taught me that. Or you can use your mobile hotspot from your phone. And then, so again, once you have all your equipment, just connect everything and then see how it works. And that's pretty much the gist of that. And the last thing you'll want to include for your playground is an operating system and applications. You'll want to get experience using different operating systems, such as Windows or Mac OS or Mac OS and Linux. You'll also want something for virtualization. Working in a virtual environment will give you the freedom to experiment without damaging your own equipment, which is something I would do. So
we've all done it, man.
You have your own computer network and then your operating system, and that'll pretty much get you started with your IT playground.
That is awesome. Okay, well, it looks like some people are familiar with some of these tools already, which is awesome. Hey, Mike Dunn, good to see you. And actually, it was so funny. If you break something in IT, who was it that said it? Hold on, I'm going to scroll up. So, Stan. Stan says IT, like it's okay. It's okay if you break things. That should be the title of this whole series.
Yeah, you might be able to break the device, but you're never going to break IT, right? So yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. Okay, so. For some of you, this is net new information, and because of that, we've got a really great article that is brought to you by our, resident expert, James here, working with our content team. It's hot off the press, just went live today, and so everything that we're talking about or touching on today will be in that blog post, so be sure to check out that article. It's going to be in the description, so you guys can take a look at that and really dig deep into each of these topics. So, okay, so we need the mobile phone, home computer network, some applications and operating systems. So let's dig into those hands-on skills to kind of help you demonstrate and practice those things. Much of these are covered in the CompTIA A+ certification. And so it's kind of nice. There was a lot of people last week that were saying, how do I get that hands-on experience, if people don't trust me yet, it's kind of that catch-22. I don't have experience, but I can't get experience unless I have experience. So, this is a great way to make that happen. So here are the 5 skills, and then James is going to, help me dive into each of these. So the first is troubleshooting, operating systems and applications, virtualization, storage, and computer networking. So James, let's see how we can kind of figure out, what we can do with our IT playgrounds to practice some of these skills, starting with troubleshooting.
You bet. When it comes to troubleshooting, if you want to look at things hands-on, I've got a couple of ideas. The first thing most people will think about is, well, what's the physical device or what's the piece of software that will help me go troubleshoot? So I'll get that out of the way. It's one thing, I have a screenshot that's up on the blog. And this is of a particular application. It's called Zoho Assist. Now, there's so many of these different types of applications. There's Tight VNC, and then there's Log Me In. There's so many of these things. But here's the thing. What you could do is work with somebody. It's an application that allows you to remote control somebody else's system. Obviously, you'll want to work with someone you trust, right? Justin and I, we would do that. I don't know if Justin trusts me, but I trust Justin. So, and the idea is that you can use that as a tool to get there. But here's the thing. Now that I've gotten the software out of the way, think of the A+ objectives, Kelsey. And I'm glad you brought those up. When it comes to the A+ objectives, there's a whole it captures the troubleshooting process in the objectives, and you can check that out. You ask questions of the person who's having the problem. Justin, what were you doing when it went wrong, and what did it act like? And then you ask questions of the device, and you can use mobile applications. Like if you're an Android user, if you're one of the chosen ones out there who has an Android, Sorry, I know you guys have. Yeah, Justin's like, no, it's not all the way.
I tried it. I'm not.
There's a really cool little application that you can get on your phone. It's called Sensors. That's what it's called, Sensors. You can get it on Google Play. There's the Google Play Store there. And you could get Sensors and install it, and you could start looking into asking questions of your phone. But I won't go any deeper into this, but you establish a thesis about what's going wrong. Then you take a plan of action and you solve the problem. Then you document it. These are troubleshooting procedures. They're so important to understand. So there you go. There's one.
That's awesome. Okay, so the second one, and actually we've got a ton of people in here that are saying a number of things of what they use. Real VNC is the best in Monday.
I like Real VNC best. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and then AnyDesk, Team Viewer. There's a ton of them, so that's
cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the next one is about operating systems and applications. So why would this be important? Why is this on the objectives, and why is this important to kind of tinker with at home?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, there's so many. It used to be in the business world. 10 years ago, a long time ago, it was kind of a Windows only world. That's changed. There's so many different operating systems that you're going to be supporting. For example, this is my Android. Here, you guys you have to hold up your iPhone. There we go. There's the iPhone there. Mine's bigger. There we go. Now, the whole cool thing about this is that there's so many operating systems you have to mess around with and fix. Obviously, Windows and all those versions, right, Justin? There's so many, And I realize Windows 7 is dead, but trust me, it's still lurking around. It comes back. But other operating systems like Linux, Android is a version of Linux. Okay, it's just a fancy. They stuck something pretty on top of there, and it's Linux. Your iPhones. It's a pretty version of free BSD Unix. That's what you're using. You just don't realize it, but you too now do. So the idea is that you have to learn how to troubleshoot multiple operating systems. And one way that you could do that, I created a screenshot in that blog to learn a bit more about what's underneath the hood, like you were saying, Justin. This is a little application I installed via Google Play called Termux. Sounds like termites, but Termux. It's just one of many little emulators you can install. And once you get it going, you go past the pretty little interface there, and you actually go into the world of Linux. You can do the same thing with your iPhone. Using the terminal app that's already installed, you can use that, and you can get deeper into your phone. So now you've got a nice little playground already. And you can even find an old Android, right? Or an old iPhone hanging around and mess with that one.
So I have a question for you, James.
Yeah.
So you said Android runs off of basically a Linux operating system, and then you have the iPhone, which is iOS, but it runs off of Unix.
Great
question. Can you explain that like a little bit more as far as, because I thought Apple used like Mac OS for their computers and laptops, and then iOS was the operating system for the cell phone.
What they do for the phones, for your phone, they'll call it iOS. Right. But iOS is really just a version of FreeBSD Unix. So they took FreeBSD Unix, which, 30 years ago was just a command line thing with maybe a graphic interface. And then what they did is they took it, made it so it fit on a small phone, and then they made it and they called it iOS. And those are and Linux much the same way. They turned it into the Android OS, and there you have it. And the reason they did this is because both of those operating systems, the FreeBSD Unix, your operating system, and Linux, the one that's on Android, they are basically open source operating systems. And the reason why companies like those open source operating systems is one, they don't have to pay for a license to use it. Anyone can use it. And the other thing is there's a bunch of developers. When I say bunch, I mean hundreds of thousands of active developers making it work. So that's very attractive.
Great.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so the next one for us, you guys, is virtualization. So I'm so glad that Justin explained it a little bit, because it seems like a pretty scary term. I think I just didn't get it. I'm not, again, guys, I'm non-technical. Okay, so I'll be the first to admit it. So James, talk to us about virtualization.
You say you are, but I think you're sandbagging us. You're smart, man. Here's the thing: virtualization is one of those words that's never fun to use because it's too many syllables for me. It's virtual.
I'm counting in my head as we say it.
I thought there'd be no math here. I don't. I don't want to count something like that. But the idea behind virtualization is kind of cool, isn't it, Justin? So the idea is this, that all of us have logged into our Mac system or our Windows system or whatever system we're using. We use it every day and we launch. I don't know, what's the last application you used? I think the last one I used before this call was Microsoft Outlook. What did you guys?
Slack.
Slack? Okay.
Yep.
And
YouTube.
YouTube. All right. Good for you. Good for you. So those are just applications, you access YouTube, excuse me, via your web browser, right?
Yes.
And so imagine being able to launch another operating system like Windows 10 or Linux or whatever, as if you were launching Outlook or as if you were launching Slack or whatever browser. So we have a screenshot of this virtualization here. I use something called VirtualBox. I think his name was Mandeep. He was talking about in the chat how much he liked VirtualBox. I like it too. It's a little application made by Oracle, and you can see on the bottom right, wait a minute, yeah, bottom left, sorry, I'm direction challenged. Part of the screen, you can see all these things that say Parrot and Joseph and Windows 10 and see Parrot 3. Do you see that? That's Oracle VirtualBox, and I've loaded several virtual machines in there, and then I launched a version of Linux. So if you look at that kind of red, strange cone-looking thing, that is a version of Linux that I've got going. It's called Yeti. And that's in the top right-hand portion of the screen. That basically is showing you that I'm using my CompTIA Windows 10 system, but I'm launching another operating system. And I can access it just like I access my Outlook. You can see there on the top left, there's Outlook. And the idea is that I'm virtualizing an operating system, and I can now play around with that OS all I want, right, Justin? That way, if I make a mistake, I've only out maybe a half an hour or an hour, I can reinstall that operating system without running into trouble.
So I see a question that came in. It's like Ashlon Banks said, where can I go to get OS VMs? Like, where does somebody go to get access to these
Sure.
other operating systems and these virtual machines?
You bet. One of the first things, if you want VirtualBox, you can go to just Google it, VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox, and you can download it and install. The second thing is if you want they're called ISO files. If you want to go to Microsoft, you can download their Windows 10. You can go to Red Hat and download their ISO files. There could be a couple of gigabytes in size, and then you can install those. But there's another thing that you're asking, I think, is the idea of, are there virtual machines that have all been set up and work through, and then you can use them and access them. CompTIA Labs has that as an opportunity. So some of these things are free and it takes a whole bunch of time and all that to get to it, right? Other things you might cost you a bit, but you get right to the chase real quick, and that's really attractive.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they like VMware, they like VirtualBox. So
VMware is terrific. Yeah, I use
fantastic.
VirtualBox as an example, but yeah, you can use VMware. Let's see the hypervisor, terrific tool. A lot of different. Everybody has their. What car do you drive? Right? I tend to drive Toyotas. Right?
Toyota, yeah.
Okay, that's what I like. How about you, Justin?
My wife has a Toyota. I have a Nissan.
Nissan. All right. Okay. So everybody has their flavor of car. Everybody has their flavor of virtualization.
I drive her more than mine though right now.
There you go. So you can be part of our Toyota crew. That's awesome. Okay, so speaking of storage, I guess, because I've got a third row in my Toyota. So storage, James, can you talk to me a little bit about that and why that's important? I was actually just helping my mom choose a new computer the other day, and she was like, what's RAM and what's hard drive and all of this stuff. So can you kind of help us out with that?
And there's like, which hard drive do you want? If you spend a bit more, you get something called a solid state drive, or you could get a more traditional drive and things like that. So when it comes to storage, you could talk about your onboard storage. Let's talk about it that way. So in your phone, there's onboard storage, isn't there? It can be so many gigabytes or whatever. This is where I put in the plug where I like Android, where I have my onboard storage. And then when I run out, I have a micro SD card, extensible storage that I can stick in, right? And then for your PC, of course, you can get, I have mine behind my computer here. You can get a big USB drive. I think mine's a terabyte or something, a couple of terabytes.
Yeah,
okay.
I have one, an external hard drive. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember the first hard drive I had was 40 megabytes. I thought I'd own the world.
You were living large.
And so what you can do is also talk about cloud storage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can extend your storage all the way into the virtual world, as it were, right? And so there's Alibaba, there's Google Cloud, what else? Microsoft OneDrive, right? That's one. Dropbox.
Yep.
All of these things. So the idea is that when it comes to storage, start to learn about the different, and I'll use another fancy word with lots of syllables, different modalities of storage, different modes of storage, whether it be a traditional hard disk that has the spindle and all that, right? And then the solid state drive, SSD, and then getting into USB. Learn how to experiment with that. I think most of us has some sort of thumb drive lying around. You guys know what I mean? Like a USB drive or whatever. I've got like 2 or 3 here in my.
I have some floppy disks. So I don't know.
Can you put that anywhere anymore?
No. Yeah, my cousin, believe it or not, gave me an old 64.5 Mustang, and in the back of it was like one of those floppy disks that, I'm not kidding, it's not the 5 1/4. We're talking ones that was like the size of this piece of paper, practically. But, anyways. So storage is something that's really fun to mess around with, because you can get like freemium accounts. You guys know what I'm talking about. They'll eventually want to charge you, but for right now, you can experiment doing synchronization between backing up files. Because like one thing that we often run into in the help desk world, right, Justin, is and Kelsey, is like my backup's not working, how do I fix it, kind of thing. That's one of the major important things that, especially these days, is important in the age of ransomware.
Yeah. I mean, I think that just keeps happening. I think Apple just keeps knowing that I will just click the button that, yes, I'll buy more storage. So they just are like, oh yeah, she'll buy more. Just keep telling her she's out. I mean, I also have like 4,000 photos of my kid on here, so that's probably part of it. But
it has nothing to do with you running out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the final one that you can practice at home is computer networking. And so James, talk to us a little bit about that.
You bet. One of the things that I think is intimidating to people when it comes to networking is the idea of how hard is it to get it going? Well, think of it this way. Once again, if you have an iPhone, you can install something called Scany, SCANY, or Network Fing, FING. This one here is for Androids. It's called, appropriately enough, Network Scanner. And what's cool about this is that on my Android, I go to Google Play with a couple of thumb taps, or 4 or 5. I can find this Network Scanner app and install it. Now, I'm not suggesting that anybody goes around scanning networks that aren't their own. Okay, I can just see it now. Justin said it was okay, so you can blame Justin.
Blame James.
But what's cool about this Network Scanner app, and you can put it up once again if you don't mind. What's cool about this little app is I just ran it. I mean, it just ran off of the network that my computer was plugged into. I should say my phone. And let's see what it found. It found the default gateway. There's a fancy term, but that found my router. And then it found my Google Nest that I have. It's 3 little Wi-Fi devices talking to each other. And see what this thing says, whiz underscore. Those are my smart LED lights. You guys know what I'm talking about? Where you can use an app to turn them on and off. Well, you can obviously use an app to turn them off, but look, I was able to discover those on my network. So, and notice what this little app does. It shows the IP address, that 192 stuff. And then it shows that goofy, it's almost text there, but it is. It's that's the MAC addresses for each of those devices. See, you're already learning about networking now. So these apps are really cool for understanding how networking operates.
That is awesome. Okay, so obviously there's a ton that we can dive into here. And Justin, can you kind of help us understand a few tips or tricks of how we can kind of get these skills to really sink in, and so that we can kind of soak in all of this knowledge?
Yeah, so something I've always struggled with was retaining information. I could read through something, but how do I remember it and then use that information when needed for like a job or completing a task? So I'll run through a few tips on, how to make your new skills kind of stick with you. So one would be like breaking up larger skills into smaller elements so you can better understand everything and how it works together. So for me, it's like breaking larger projects down into smaller steps. And it's always helped me tremendously throughout the years. Another one would be, once you read a piece of information, quickly apply those skills while they're fresh in your mind. And that's where the IT playground would come in handy. Like once you read something, right away, just go do it, just to make sure you fully understand it. Keep trying. IT is all about breaking things, like James said, and then fixing them. So if you don't get them right the first time, you just start over and you try again. And that virtual environment would be great for that. And then it's just like practice, practice, practice. Practice on your home lab, volunteer to help family and friends. Although I never seem to volunteer, I always find myself, helping family members by, around their house, like fixing broken things or setting up something new. For my father, he calls me every week about his laptop that's broken, and all he does is surf the internet. Or through emails, but somehow he breaks it. Or my grandmother setting up her digital picture frame. Who still uses those, but she has one. And, so whatever it may be, just look for those opportunities to practice your tech skills in the real world.
You're through the matrix now, man. You've taken, I can't remember, is it the green pill or the red pill? But you've taken it.
You've taken it.
Yeah, you're in. You're in.
That's so funny. I mean, the breaking larger skills into smaller elements is a part of project management that comes with IT as well. And that's something that maybe you're good at kind of keeping yourself organized and understanding, okay, here's this, but here's the path that we need to get to in order to achieve that. That's absolutely a skill that you need in IT so that you can kind of obviously help to troubleshoot these issues. If it's a huge issue, you're not going to be able to tackle the whole thing. I mean, how do you eat an elephant? Biting off one device at a time, I guess, not the whole network.
It's one bite.
That James mentioned earlier is our CertMaster online learning solutions. And, these are a really great place to start. And, we started this all out by offering free CertMaster Learn for ITF Plus. And Justin, you took advantage of that. So tell us a little bit about how that's going and kind of what's next, and how can CertMaster Learn help you practice some of these skills as well?
Right. So CertMaster Learn, for me, has been a wonderful resource as I go through my ITF Plus training. I'm constantly connecting the dots from what I'm learning in CertMaster to the things I've experienced in the real world, whether it's connecting peripheral devices to computers or using access controls. These are things that I thought I knew nothing about, but after completing, the lessons in CertMaster, I come to find out that I know more about this information than I thought I did, just by using it, in everyday life throughout the years. And I plan to continue with CertMaster Learn as I move on to A+ training in the next few weeks. So I'm getting close to the end of CertMaster ITF Plus, and I'm moving right into A+, and I'm using CertMaster Learn as a way of learning for me. So you can practice in your home lab, or you can use CompTIA's suite of CertMaster products. And like these online tools, like kind of provide a real virtual environment where you can practice your hands-on skills for the CompTIA A+ exam and for help desk and tech support jobs. So like it's no matter how you do it, just get as much hands-on practice as you can, and it will help you go into the CompTIA A+, Network Plus, Security Plus exams with a lot more confidence so you can succeed in your IT career.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I love what you said too, Justin. You didn't contradict yourself at all when you said a real virtual environment, because it really is a real.
It is. Yeah. Exactly. That's awesome. Okay, so I think that we've got we've got some time to take some questions. So let's take a look.
I found one. It was a question earlier from Collins Okafor. I don't know how to say names very well. I always get my syllables wrong. It says, James, most of the Google Play apps are littered with forms of malware. How do you confirm before installing them on your Android, or for that matter, how do you make sure you install good stuff on your computer? One thing, reputation will help. If it has 4 downloads and everybody loves them, maybe that's a problem, because that means one person put it up there and had 4 people say that they liked it. If it has 10,000 downloads or 1 million downloads and has a high reputation, you could do well. If you download software onto your Unix system, or your Linux system or your Windows system, you can compare hashes. You just Google that, compare hashes. I won't go into the details, but that's another way that you can make sure that what you download has integrity, put it that way.
That's perfect. There was a question that popped up from Andrew Moore. Is it possible to jump right into Security Plus with having no experience?
Oy vey.
I think that's a dangerous road to go down. But James, what do you think?
With no experience, I would say that'd be a pretty tough call unless you're able to do some sort of insta download. Put that micro SD card or about 1,000 of them. So, the thing it's actually a pretty good question, because the idea is that's a career choice question that's being asked, and it's a good one. And I think when it comes to you can set that as your goal. And what you do is you work yourself into the career pathway where it makes sense. And where it makes sense could be ITF plus, it could be A plus. But there are a lot of people, it could be this person has never had a job in cybersecurity specifically, but has been in help desk for a while. You never really know where that person is. So
Sure.
that's one reason why the big three that we talk about, A plus, network plus, security plus, is such an interesting on-ramp to being a professional. And it can lead to being a cybersecurity professional. Absolutely.
I think
for
the
sure.
IT career path tool is a great way to start, on CompTIA's website, to kind of figure out what's the right path for you. If security is where you want to go, maybe there's pre-exams that you should probably take before you get right in security plus. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a really great point. Okay, so Chip Clary has a question. Are there online labs for A+ certifications? Yes, there are. And it's in CertMaster Lab or CertMaster Learn, as well as CompTIA Labs. So definitely take a look at some of the resources that we're going to have in the description of this video so that you can check that out. I did see Mike Dunn. Hey, it's good to see you, bud. He's been our tried and true he's part of the group. He's the OG crew as well, I think. Unfortunately, he wasn't selected for the position that he was interviewing for. And Mike, we're sorry to hear that, bud. But
that's their loss, Mike.
Yeah. It's their loss. So you were saying that you have one certification. I'm sorry, I missed which one it was, but I think that you should really start with A+, because there are 30,000 jobs right now that require A+ to basically confirm that, like, okay, yeah, you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, and how to solve these problems. So everybody, make sure that you take a look at some of the free resources that are in here, because you can take a look at the exam objectives, so you know what's on the exam, where am I kind of at as far as level setting of where are my skills at right now, and where do I need to go? So definitely take a look at A+. The other thing too is that we've got practice questions. We've got, even a sample of the ebook as well in those resources. So there were a few people that were asking about some free resources. So take a look at that. Mike, the other thing too, it's okay. Who said that earlier? It's okay in IT. You just have to keep trying and, make sure that you are, able to, kind of show them that you know what you know by having those certifications to kind of back you up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, hey guys, this has been awesome, and everyone's kind of been hanging in to the end, and we really appreciate that. So I've got a few special things. So number one, for those of you, and I saw Kathleen just started her ITF training, so we're so happy that we can help you out during this tough time. But definitely take a look at ITF Plus, the CertMaster Learn for ITF Plus. ITF Plus is IT Fundamentals Plus, because everything is plus when it comes to CompTIA. We plus up your life, that's why. So we plus up your resume, really, I think is what it is. But so if you haven't had a chance yet to download that and get your free training for ITF Plus, be sure to do that by May 31st. That's the last date that we will have that live. We started this whole YouTube live journey by offering that as a solution for some displaced workers in hospitality, in the restaurant business. James, like you said earlier, there was a truck driver that you had known for a while that was able to kind of get into IT. So no matter what walk of life you come from, if you have that curiosity, you're pretty good with computers, you kind of are the person that everyone goes to, chances are you'll be pretty great at IT. So be sure to take a look at ITF Plus. It's kind of that introductory cert to kind of help you decide, is IT right for me? Do I like what I'm doing? Is this kind of the path that I want to go? And then of course, A+ is where we recommend to really kind of jumpstart your career.
Yes.
So while you're progressing through that ITF training as well, you're actually going to get a special offer. So definitely take advantage of that by May 31st. last but not least, last week we had a ton of people that were asking, how do I save money on IT certifications, right? And that's a big thing, especially right now. Everyone's kind of got their purses a little bit tighter to them, or your wallet, if whatever you carry, your MERS, I don't know. But anyway, so you're keeping your money a little bit tighter, but there's a lot of really great ways that you can save money when it comes to your IT certifications. And we kind of have the holy grail of a blog post, if you will. Shout out to our content team for putting this together. But this includes all of the voucher discounts and saving offers that CompTIA offers. So that's something like, financing your purchases month to month to just kind of ease that burden. So you're not, diving into things right off the bat. You can definitely use that financing option. To subscribing to the blog, that's super easy, and you get 10% off. And then it's, obviously packed with just a lot of really great information in there. So take a look at that. It's in the link in the description. But the big thing that is in there is our store club membership. And I know that you guys have heard me talk about this a little bit, but we launched this last year and it totally makes sense. This is open to people that are in the US and Canada at this time. And think of it as like an Amazon Prime membership. You are able to get all that really great free shipping. Well, $49 and you get 20% off of the CompTIA store for a whole year. That's right, a whole year, you guys. So it basically, it pays for itself in the very first purchase. So, what we found is that there's really some go-getters that are out there, and they are planning on taking more than one certification in a year. If you're doing that, you need this membership. It's awesome. It can be used on training products as well as certifications, bundles. Bundles save you a bunch of money anyway in the store, but you can use your 20% off towards that. So definitely take a look at the link in the description so that you can become part of our club. It's a pretty cool club. Let's see, have we got any other questions? Let's see. I think we'll take one more question. Okay, Christian. Oh, I was just gonna say Christian. But we've got another one on the screen right now. Goran, if we already signed up for ITF Plus and won't complete it before May 31st, do we lose it? No, it's a 30-day free trial from when you sign up for it. So just make sure that you sign up for it by May 31st. So great question. There was another question that I saw.
I've got a comment here. So, someone's saying, "Hey, come on, James, get a new headset." I mean, I like this headset with the electrical tape. Look at that. Isn't it nice?
So
I know. I saw someone earlier. They asked how much it weighed.
I was just going to say that they asked how much it weighed because it kept falling off.
Well, it weighs. And here's the deal. It weighs less now that my hair has grown long because I can't cut it. There
you go.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Well, awesome, you guys. Hey, James and Justin, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And hey, everybody in the chat and that's watching this later, hey, if you are practicing your skills at home already, we want to hear from you. How is it going? And let us know kind of what's in your IT playground. This is always super fun, and help each other out. That's the whole point of social media, right? Is to be able to create this community. So help each other out, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in every single week. Again, we will see you next week at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, next Wednesday. And we're looking forward to it. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody. And make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And, as always, it's been a pleasure. James and Justin, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And take a look at all of those awesome resources that are in the description. You don't want to miss out. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.